always remember when I did not understand how I used to stand under all the fool's rules running these lands. I had my head in the sand and I was asleep. Now I learn a little more every day, and I'm waking the sheep. Gonna say it out loud, say it proud, get it out, 'cause I'm burning inside, cannot hide it no more. I'm a raconteur too. Yeah, I'm a raconteur too. Oh, I'm a raconteur too. Oh, the people in the chat room singing. Oh, I'm a raconteur too. One more time now. Oh, I'm a raconteur too.
Oh, good evening. Sorry about that. Welcome to Raconteurs Too. I'm Jason Holmes, and I'm here reminding you that this world is for everybody and not just for Aid Hardy, even though Aidy, well, he does have a big chunk of the world, but not the whole lot. So anyway, we'll move on. It is Monday, the 6th of November 2017. No guest tonight. I did try to get a guest on. We've got a guest. I did have a guest lined up. I did have somebody who wanted me to phone him today at 5 o'clock. It was him that approached the show to come on, and I've not been able to raise him at 5 o'clock. So you're just going to have to listen to me just for like an hour or so. The second half of an hour, I think we'll probably drag Andy in and to have a little bit of a conversation, because Andy's producing for me tonight. Thank you very much, Andy. Big shout out to everyone that's been in touch with me regarding my my unfortunate accident that I had in Morrison's. I've had quite a response to that. So thank you to everyone who's been in touch with me about that. So yes, it was an unusual story. And if you didn't hear the story because we weren't going out live at that particular time, just go back to, I think it was the Paul Webster interview, which I did last Monday. But I do believe that was the one where at the beginning I did tell that story. So if you want to go back and go and look at it on the podcast, you'll be able to hear that story. I know it's given a lot of people a lot of amusement, but I can guarantee you it's absolutely true. Right, anyway, what we're going to talk about tonight. Listen, if you're in the chat room, or if you want to phone in on Skype and have a quick and want to have a chat with me, then please just indicate in the chat room. Heath says Heath's in the chat room. He says he missed the poo story. Well, if you go back, you can find that. You can find that somewhere. I don't think I want to go through it again. It was quite traumatic. So, but let's just say I've been to the same Morrison's a couple of times since, and I've remained dry, which is an absolute bonus. You should never go back to the scene of the crime. But I have breached that, and I've gone. Right, anyway, tonight, what we're going to talk about? Well, I don't know. If you want to have a chat with me, then pop something in the chat room, and we'll get it. But what I wanted to start off with is we've got Halloween out of the way. We've got bonfire night out of the way. Although there's probably still going to be fireworks for the next couple of weeks, but it's not been too bad around here. My cats have been pretty relaxed, and I've even got one cat. She's a little bit. Well, I'll tell you a little story about her. When she was a kitten, she was born from our other cat, and our other cat had sort of 5 kittens, and they were born on Heath's birthday. Actually, they were born the same day as on Heath's birthday, the 22nd of June. And so it was quite hot, and it was quite warm, around that time, and the temperature. Anyway, so we've got 5 kittens, and they get fleas. They're covered in fleas crawling all over them. So we go to the vets and we say, is there anything we can spray on these kittens that's going to get rid of these fleas? So they gave us, the vet gave us this thing. He said, it's completely safe to use on kittens. So we used it on them, and they were all okay, apart from this one particular one. And what happened was, I think she had a reaction to it, because all she could do was, when you put her on the floor, she couldn't walk, but she could do like sort of sideways roly-polies. It was quite. I took a video of it at the time. I'll see if I can find it and post it somewhere. But she was sort of turning over, and that's all she could do. When she tried to walk forward, she'd just go sideways and sort of do roly-polies. So we initially thought, well, she's had a reaction. We took her back to the vet, and the vet said probably the best thing is to put her down. Now, me being me, and us, our family being our family, we don't like to do that. So we said no. Well, what we'll do is we'll take her home, we'll see if she improves. And yeah, she did improve, but it does appear she's a little bit of brain damage, because when she looks at you, her head's tilted to one side, and she's a bit scatty and a bit she's the sort of cat that'll hear you from outside, putting biscuits into the trays, into their dinner bowls, and come running in, bursting through the cat flap, and then run straight past you, and then walk back past you as she goes out again, because she's forgotten what she's coming for. So she's that sort of cat. Thank you. Thanks for that, Andy. No more brain damaged than Jason, to be honest. Well, anyway, this weekend, obviously there's been fireworks and there's been bangs and there's been things going out. And while one of the cats, Spook, we call her, who is called Spook because every time you went anywhere near her, she spooks and runs off. She used to. She's chilled out a lot now since I upped my marijuana intake in front of her. But she's chilled out a little bit, but she's still a little bit spooky. Now, the other one, so when the fireworks were going off and the big bang, she was looking up and looking, and I think she went upstairs and went under our bed. But the other one, Nipper, who's the one that's a little bit, we think is a little bit brain damaged, she was out. She was out looking at the fireworks, watching the fireworks. So the bangs didn't bother her in any way, shape, or form. She was out on the garden, and she's watching the fireworks and the banging, and she's just loved it. So we've got that out of the way. But you know what that means, don't you? Inevitably, all over everywhere, the C word has returned. We've got how long left? About 6 weeks before the winter festival, the whatever you want to call it. Yes, I'm sorry about that, but I'm sorry about that. Andy's putting his fingers in his ears because he's about as much a fan of Christmas as I am. But it's all over everywhere again. So now what we're having to do is I still watch TV. My wife is pretty conventional, and she's pretty conventional, so she watches TV. So I inevitably end up watching some TV. We don't watch any of the dog shit. We don't watch any of the soaps. In fact, earlier on tonight there was a message, like a trailer for one of the soaps, that said that Kathy was running away and scared of Wilmot Brown. Now, if I remember rightly, when I watched EastEnders in '80s, those two characters were in it, and I'm sure they're dead now. So it seems that these shows are bringing back dead characters. But I do watch a bit of TV. Now, I wanted to get into the state of comedy, because if there's anything that has had an effect over the years, it's been music and it's been comedy, entertainment, those sort of things. People have been able to get the political views onto a platform. Ben Elton springs to mind. I mean, a bit of a toss bag, like, but he's one that springs to mind. He's the one that that had an impact and produced a new kind of comedy. And I think that's been all turned around. Now, I want to just go through a few names. I really love comedy. I absolutely love comedy, but I think it's being strangled. I think it's being used as divisive, just like everything else in the entertainment industry. Let me just give you a few names. John Bishop. Okay. To me, not very funny. He's got a Scouse accent. We expect Scousers to be funny, and I think that's an expectation. That's a stereotype that helps him to make money from gullible people who are prepared to go and sit and watch and laugh at things that they think are funny when actually they are not funny. It's just a piss take. James Corden, come on, James Corden. If you want to know that there's an evil oligarchy running this world that has your interests right at the very bottom of the lists, the way to do that is to make somebody as talentless and unfunny as James Corden and make him famous. Make him famous. It's useless. It's not even funny at all. I don't get it. I really don't get it. This is really pissing me off. I had a conversation with my in-laws yesterday. In fact, it wasn't really a conversation. It was more me talking to them. Because I noticed, and this is the real pet hate for me, the real one is Peter Kay. And I noticed he's popped up again on some TV advert or some at the moment so he obviously needs some new windows for his house, or his mother needs a bidet or a commode or something like that. Because this bloke has stolen money from the British public for years and years and years and made himself immensely wealthy. Based upon what? Based upon saying garlic bread. That's it. It's like dolphins, right? Dolphins get on my tits. Dolphins really get on my tits. Just because they smile all the time, people think they're not fish. Well, they are, right? And they'll bite you and they'll do all that things. Anyway, Eve's just popped in the chat room. I've just noticed the King of Wank, Chris Moyles. So, yeah, I absolutely agree with you as well. Totally, the King. But please, Peter Kay, and that mate of his, what's he called? Paddy McGuinness, who does that. Take Me Out. I mean, come on, these people are stealing money from you. I mean, I'll give you. I'm not a grump. I'm not totally anti-comedy, but these people aren't doing comedy. This is just not comedy. It's not even comedy. I remember great comedians, people that used to make me laugh. I used to love Frank Skinner. Not so much anymore because he's on the BBC, and he's a Catholic, so it makes me a bit, he's a devout Catholic. I'm a Catholic, but he's a devout Catholic. So it makes me a little bit wary of him. And, of course, he works at the BBC, and so he must really know what's going on at the BBC unless he's walking about with his eyes closed. So he's taking the money and ignoring that. So he's gone down a little bit in my estimations, but I really enjoyed his early stuff. And if you go and look back at some of Frank Skinner's early stuff, it's absolutely superb. Yeah, Paul Sturm, yes, a message from the chat room. Paul Sturm says dolphins, fish. Yes, they live in the water. They are fish. Anything that lives in the water, just because it has live births, and it's a fish. It lives in water, and it smiles all the time. And they really get on me. They really get on me. Really get on me tits. Moving on. Yeah, great comedians surpass everything. And when I talk about a great comedian, I talk about a comedy actor. I'm talking about Rick Mayall, the likes of which will never be seen again. What an absolutely brilliant bloke, right from start to finish, the whole way. From what I can gather, anyway, from start. If anyone has got any uh, any information to the contrary, then please get me. But yeah, Rick Mayall, what a great guy. But then nowadays, I mean, what's that all about? Mrs. Brown's Boys. Anybody watch that? Mrs. Brown's Boys. It's ridiculous. It's just the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen. And also what it's done, it's invaded our culture, because now we've got a generation of people. In fact, we've got more than a generation. We've got multiple generations that now think it's acceptable to say feck instead of fuck. Right? Everyone knows you mean when you say feck. Just say fuck, because it's the actual word that you're going for. Everyone knows what you mean when you say feck. You think you're being polite. But you're not. They know that you mean... My sister's terrible for it. My sister's absolutely terrible for it. And I always pull her up on it. And she's, I'm being polite. I'm just being polite. I said, not being polite. You know, you're... What you're doing is... You know... It's just... It's just nuts. Feck. Just say fuck, for fucking God's sake. For God's sake. And the fact that these are on... primetime BBC should really put a huge red flag on it, because if anything, it's going to be benign, it's going to be sterile, it's going to be nonsense, it's going to be crap, and that's what it is. Mrs. Brown Boys. I tried to watch half an episode. And I just could not get anywhere near through it. Good Irish comedies like Father Ted, which I wasn't really a fan of, but I do understand that it was a good, decent comedy. So the state of comedy at the moment is just terrible. Michael McIntyre, I mean, what does that guy do? He walks from side to side, shaking his head, going like that with his head up and down, like he's nodding, and saying crap. You know, it's rubbish. And I sound like that bloke off Fast Show, don't I? You know, remember, it's brilliant! He's in his show, in that show, there was also a sketch that involved his dad. And his dad would say, rubbish, everything's rubbish, everything's rubbish. And I sound like, and I feel like I'm sounding like that. But my point is that comedy these days has become so... Miranda, for God's sake! Oh, she's funny looking and big, awkward, and not what you would say classically attractive. And she tries to turn that into some sort of comedy. It's not comedy. It really isn't comedy. It's just nonsense. So I don't know what people think about that. But the comedy stuff is just atrocious. It's just not very good at all. I mean, me and my missus, we've taken to, in the last few weeks, watching old comedies on TV. Like I said, the Fast Show, we've just been watching that. Really good stuff. There's some parts of it we don't get along with as much as other bits, but it's intrinsically funny. These other things they're just not funny. You know, a woman who's a bit awkward looking, a bit overweight, you know, a bit of a, she's a bit tall as well, isn't she, Miranda? And you know, she gets a laugh by looking at the camera. What's that? Why is she getting that? People should watch some real comedy. So it falls over a lot. How's that funny? Mrs. Brown Boys. Yeah. Andy's he saw Mrs. Brown's Boys for a few minutes once, and it was shite. Falls over a lot, and that's funny apparently. Listen. It's rather remiss of me, but I'm going to say hello to a few people that are in the chat room tonight. We've got Tony C is in the chat room. Nice to see you. He's been listening for 2 years, and he's just found himself coming into the chat room as well. So nice to see you, Tony C. Hope to see a lot more of you in future. Heath Dweth is in, and he's written Bistards. I think that's a reference to the word feck, to the feck thing that I was on about with Mrs. Brown's Boys. Yeah, raccoon shit. Yeah, I've got me. So hello to you. Anybody else who's in the chat room? If you're not in the chat room, get yourself off to the Raconteurs Live chat room page, and you can go into the chat room and put anything that you want to about what the shit that I'm talking about now. But I've got to say though, the comedy, for me, the most despicable one, the one that is Peter Kay, because he appears, he comes along, and then he disappears again. And why do mums buy crap pop? Because you were poor, Peter. You were poor, obviously. So they didn't buy you. This is just nonsense. It's just nonsense. And people have been parted from the money for that garlic fucking bread, for God's sake. Never watched any of that Phoenix Nights. Couldn't be arsed with it. There's a bloke here on Radio Sheffield in a morning called Toby Foster who was in that. He's a sort of minor celebrity. He does the breakfast show on Radio Sheffield. I know he's been sacked a couple of times, and he's also a comedian. He's been on Phoenix Nights and all that sort of stuff. But he's probably the least funny person in Sheffield, and yet he gets there's funnier people across. Bloke lives across road. He's funnier, and he's only funny because he's not actually trying to be funny, but when he does talk to you, it's genuinely funny, and there's things that people could get out of that, I think, as well. So anyway, that's my little rant on comedy. So let's get to things that are going on in the news. What we got going on in the news? Yes, the news. We've got sex allegations, right, left, and centre. Sooty and Sweep have complained to the BBC that they had an hand up their arse for 20 years, and both Harry and his father. So they were. There's just sexual allegations everywhere, going on everywhere, from touching legs to somebody just saying something. It's getting ridiculous. I'd love to know what they're covering up. Probably the Vegas shooting is being removed with this. You've got all the Hollywood stuff as well, Kevin Spacey, and also you've got Corey Feldman? Corey Feldman, who's trying to raise $10 million to make a film about the abuse that he suffered in Hollywood, or allegedly suffered in Hollywood, because he's not really. You would have thought that he's got a high enough profile now he can reveal the names, but no, he needs to do it through a film. $10 million. So I'm not buying that. I'm not saying that he wasn't assaulted, but I'm not buying that this is a genuine attempt to reveal the people in Hollywood that are doing this stuff. And I know one of the names anyway. Yeah, Heath's just put in the chat room that nobody's ever rubbed his leg. And Heath's in show business, as you know. He's a singer-songwriter, an award-winning singer-songwriter. So he must have done very well or be very ugly to not have had his legs rubbed whilst he's been in show business. And I know he's been all over the place. So if he's not had his leg rubbed, then nobody has it. I think my wife is going to make an allegation as well that I touched her leg, but I'm going to obviously deny it, and then I'm going to resign from Raconteurs News as just because more stuff's going to come out that I actually touched. In fact, I've got. As we speak, I'm sexually molesting Colin, the raccoon. There he is. Colin, you can't see him, but he's there, I tell you. I know, say something to the people, Colin. Hello, people. There you go. That's Colin. Anyway, I'm sexually assaulting him as we speak. It's ridiculous. I don't know what they're trying to achieve with this, but it really isn't getting rid of sexual abuse between people. In Parliament and things like that. It's a distraction, and we've got the Vegas thing as well, that where witnesses, people that have given accounts, are starting to die. They're starting to drop off. We've got this attack last night apparently in Texas. A church in Texas was shot up by somebody who was then shot. Just give me a second. Sorry, I just turned the light up a bifter. This thing in Texas where someone was shot and the perpetrator, I don't know anything about that. I've not really had a look. Perhaps we'll get Jason on next week to give us a rundown on that and let us know. Give him a week to look into it and find out what has been going on. So we'll probably get Jason on next week. So yeah, we've had this attack in Texas. I think there's 27 people dead, a number of people injured. I think the perpetrator's been shot dead as well. But these sex allegations, I believe, are covering something up that's even bigger. I don't know what that is. I'd love to know what it is. Reading between the lines, it seems that all you've had to do is be in the company of a woman in Parliament, and you're going to be accused of being a sex attacker. If anyone's attacking people, if anyone's actually attacking people, then that's completely wrong. But it's completely wrong. It's completely despicable. But I don't think the things that are coming out at the moment warrant our attention. I think it's something that could be done internally. This government's coming down. We know this government's coming down. It's going to be gone by spring next year. So and we'll probably have a general election, and then we'll find out Jeremy Corbyn's true colours as well, which I'm not really looking forward to. But I suppose it's got to be something different. It's got to be a little bit better than the same old that we're getting now. Also, we've got this gender identity thing going on as well. This morning, I was listening to Five Live. God blimey, what were I doing that for? God almighty, it's like getting a prostitute with diarrhea to shit in your ears. It's and they think that we should pay for that. I don't pay my TV license for the same reason I don't pay a paedophile to stand in the corner of my room telling me lies. So I listened anyway, illegally, because obviously I don't pay for it. But I was listening today, and the amount to say the transgender population must be 0.000 recurring 1% of the population. Yet it's getting a huge, massive amount of coverage in the press. Now there's an agenda here. Nicky Campbell, who does Five Live, he does these interviews on Five Live. I don't know if you've ever heard him, but he's what I'd call the king of emotion porn, or the queen. I don't want to assume his gender, so he'd probably be a bit offended if I did that. I assumed his gender. So it's the king or queen. It's the supreme of emotion porn. And all he does is whenever he's doing an interview, and after he's done an interview, and he'll say, listen to it on the website after it was an extremely powerful interview, not an interesting, not an informative, powerful. See what they're doing? They're going for your emotions. You're supposed to react to these things emotionally, and that means that anybody that has dissent about it, somebody like me who has, then people will say, oh, you're being insensitive, because they're reacting on an emotional level, because that's how it's been portrayed to them, on an emotional level. So people won't think about things with using critical thinking. What they'll do is, because they've been placed into that position, and that opinion that they think that they have, that they haven't, they've just been fed it by fucking Nicky Emotion Porn Campbell. They think that that's their opinion, and it's people need to start thinking on a non-emotional level. If you look at the TV, look at the adverts. Look how have you had a flu vaccine? You got your flu vaccine. You could get your free flu vaccine. Why would you want a free flu vaccine? Sod that. But they're giving them away for free. Somebody's paying for that. Somebody's making a huge amount of money. You don't need a flu vaccine. I don't need a flu vaccine. And look what's wrong with me. I've got like everything. I've got everything. Heart condition, APS, blood clot behind my leg. Oh, I've got all sorts of shit. You know, my medical notes read like War and Peace. But I don't need a flu vaccine. Never needed a flu vaccine. I got some flu last week. I told you about it last week when I crapped myself. I think I got a bit of stomach flu. But I fought it off. It's gone now. And that particular strain won't come back. Because I've fought it off. And my immune system is now in a much better position than it would have been if I'd had a poxy vaccine. And still probably caught the disease anyway, the illness. So the big push on vaccines, and it's something that's quite close to my heart at the moment, because I don't suppose it really matters now. I can tell you I'm going to be a granddad on the 27th of June. I think the baby Holmes is due to, but my daughter has announced she's pregnant. Well, she's not announced it. I found out. So I'm going to be a granddad, which I'm looking forward to. But now it starts. I've started already. I saw my daughter on Sunday, yesterday morning, because we had a little bit of a falling out because I fell out with her boyfriend, her ex-boyfriend now. I fell out with him because what he did is he got her pregnant. They bought a house together, a brand new house, by the way, a new build. They bought a house together, and then he decides that he don't want to be with her anymore just after she's got pregnant. So he's buggered off. I had a big row with him. I didn't have a big row with him. I actually told him that he was a piece of crap, and that when I see him, I'm going to see to him. I wasn't going to be violent. I just wanted to talk to him face to face. And last weekend, he started goading me and calling me all sorts of names under the sun. So I went round to his house and he hid. I went round to his mum's house where he was staying, and he hid in the bathroom and wouldn't come out. And so I left. Big coward, but now he knows that when I say I'm going to come round and I'm going to do something, then I'll do it. So anyway, I'm going to be I keep going off at tangents. That's what I'm like. So I went on Sunday morning. I went to my daughter's. We went for a drive around. We went to a car boot sale in Mansfield to have a walk round. I bought a couple of things. But what I was doing is the whole time I was in her ear and sort of saying, "You're not going to be vaccinating, are you? You're not vaccinating my grandchild." "Oh, Dad, we'll have to see about when." No, you're not vaccinating my grandchild. Not a chance. If you vaccinate that child, you're putting it in harm's way, and you shouldn't put it in harm's way. It's your child. You're responsible for that. But anyway, it's difficult because at the end of the day, there's that old cliche again. At the end of the day, it goes dark. At the end of the day, it's her decision. It's her decision whether she continue with the pregnancy. It's her decision whether she vaccinates the child when it's born, my grandchild. But obviously, I'm trying to give her as much information as possible and trying to get her to not vaccinate. That's my preferred option. And I know that might cause some problems later on in life down the line, because we saw there was that kid from Cardiff University who was kicked off his course because he hadn't been vaccinated at Cardiff University, and it said that Cardiff University said that he was putting other students, the staff, the faculty, and people that he was going to be working with on placement, he was putting them at risk. But if they've all been vaccinated, what's the risk from him? If vaccines work and they've all been vaccinated against anything, if he gets something, if the vaccinations work, why are you so scared? What are you so scared of? What are you so scared of? And then you find out that it's pharmaceutical companies that are funding his course. The course at Cardiff University that he's on is being funded by pharmaceuticals. So obviously they cannot have somebody who's unvaccinated and somebody who thinks for themselves on a course that is being run, paid for mostly by pharmaceutical companies. It's just not on. Right, we've got to sort of past. What I want to do is I want to play just a quick record. Have you got one lined up there, Andy? Just Ether or something. Just get a quick record on, and then I'm going to drag you in, Andy, for the last sort of 20 minutes, so that we can have a bit of a chat about what's been going on, around, and you can talk about some of the things that have been going on in your life. So we'll be back in a couple of minutes. It's Raconteurs News. You can hear us on raconteursnews.com. We're also on Spreaker. Just do a search for Raconteurs News, and we'll be back in a couple of minutes.
I always remember when I did not understand how I used to stand under all the fool's rules running these lands. I had my head in the sand and I was asleep. Now I learn a little more every day, and I'm waking the sheep. Gonna say it out loud, say it proud, get it out, 'cause I'm burning inside, cannot hide it no more. I'm a raconteur too. Yeah, I'm a raconteur too. Oh, I'm a raconteur too. Oh, the people in the chat room singing. Oh, I'm a raconteur too. One more time now. Oh, I'm a raconteur too.
Oh, good evening. Sorry about that. Welcome to Raconteurs Too. I'm Jason Holmes, and I'm here reminding you that this world is for everybody and not just for Aid Hardy, even though Aidy, well, he does have a big chunk of the world, but not the whole lot. So anyway, we'll move on. It is Monday, the 6th of November 2017, and no guest tonight. I did try to get a guest on. We've got a guest. I did have a guest lined up. I did have somebody who wanted me to phone him today at 5 o'clock. It was him that approached the show to come on, and I've not been able to raise him at 5 o'clock. So you're just going to have to listen to me just for like an hour or so. The second half of an hour, I think we'll probably drag Andy in and to have a little bit of a conversation, because Andy's producing for me tonight. Thank you very much, Andy. Big shout out to everyone that's been in touch with me regarding my my unfortunate accident that I had in Morrison's. I've had quite a response to that. So thank you to everyone who's been in touch with me about that. So yes, it was an unusual story. And if you didn't hear the story because we weren't going out live at that particular time, just go back to, I think it was the Paul Webster interview, which I did last Monday. But I do believe that was the one where at the beginning I did tell that story. So if you want to go back and go and look at it on the podcast, you'll be able to hear that story. Yep. So they are shedding that. So anyway, we've got about 20 minutes left. So I've decided to drag in my my resting co-host
and
producer for this evening, Andy. Welcome, Andy.
Hiya, mate. It's it feels a bit weird to be talking on. I know I've said a few words here and there, but I've had a few people saying, "Oh, we've missed you on the radio" and all that. And one of the people who tells me every time I speak to him is fantastic guy. It's Ricky Dwyer over in Canada. I know you're listening, Rick. You're brilliant, man. Talking to you is some kind of therapy. It really is. He's a great guy. He's done so much fantastic work helping people. He was one of Rick Simpson's warriors over there in Canada. I know Rick gets a big lot of credit for what he's done, and I don't want to take any of that away from him, but there was a crowd of guys behind him, and they stopped at nothing, and they stayed and fought, and their lives have been pretty hellish since then, but what I've seen that's happening there recently, I think those guys are winning the battle, and that's kind of, I mean, I've had what I consider might be, almost certainly is going to be a life-changing experience today. For the first time in my life, I've been to see a shamanic healer, and I just walked out. Well, as soon as I walked in there, I knew something big was going to go down. I just got that feeling. But when I walked out there, I felt like a different person. Now, you know that spazzy leg thing you've got when you walk? I get exactly the same. My right leg starts dragging after about 20 yards. Today, I walked out of the lady's house. I got in my car. I drove to meet Tina, my partner in town, and I got out the car, and it's about 400 yards walk to where she is, and I thought, I'm going to walk as fast as I can. And you know what? I haven't walked so fast for about 15 years. Not a problem. I am too bewildered at the moment to give a lot of detail on what happened, but it was just bloody awesome. I'd recommend anyone who's thinking about trying it, give it a go. It's a whole new world. But yeah, what we back to what we were talking about, Jason. You were on about the sex scandals. I mean, I have noticed that it does appear that the Hillary Clinton thing is almost going mainstream now. That Clinton and is it Huma Abedin, aide, who was married to Weiner, Anthony Weiner, the congressman. Apparently there was a sex tape found on his laptop, and it's been widely reported that not just that sex tape, but a lot of other very high up people, apparently they make these sex tapes of them molesting children and kind of exchange them with each other as some kind of sick, weird trophies.
Also, it could be a way of if they're trading them with each other. Let's face it, if you're in that sort of ring, they probably trade them each for each, so that they've each got then something on each other. So one won't betray the other one.
Yeah, I'd imagine there's something like that going on. But you know damn well if they're trading them with each other, then the intelligence services have got those tapes as well. So they're ultimately controllable. I mean, that's what the whole paedophilia thing is. It's the way Tavistock and the intelligence agencies control the governments. Who's behind them? Well, anybody's guess, but I think the banks play a big part in all the suffering that's going on.
So do you think these we're getting these pretty tame sex allegations, aren't we, that are coming out at the moment, particularly with Hollywood as well? So that takes it away. It's not we're not concentrating on the political class. We're concentrating on Hollywood.
Yeah, so
which they're pretty much the same thing, aren't they?
Yeah, it's like a cheap conjurer's trick, isn't it? You're watching his right hand because you think that's where it's all going on, but it's in his left hand, and that's exactly what they're doing. It's just distraction techniques. And you can do anything under anybody's nose. If they're not watching what you're doing, they're looking in the wrong place, can't you? And that's, to me, they do it so often. You know, that's a distraction from Clinton and Podesta. You know, they're saying now that Podesta's been arrested. Who knows? Oh, one of the Podesta, I think it was Tony Podesta, was supposed to have been arrested before the weekend, and his brother was supposed to be giving himself up yesterday or today, wasn't he?
I don't know. I mean, I've seen some stories, but the stories have been linked to sites that I'm a bit wary of.
Yeah, I'm worried that
some of these clickbait sites, you know, Your Newswire and Neon Nell and all that sort of.
Yeah, I mean, I tend not to put any great story in anything that's put on there, and I've had a heated debate with a couple of friends over sharing links from Your Newswire in particular. We know it's what's that? Sean Adel is behind it. The guy who was with David Icke. The guy.
Oh yeah, PTV.
Yeah, I remember when Richie Allen. He was actually on a show after me a few years back, and when people were saying, "Yeah, well, where did the money go from the People's Voice?" and it, "Are you taking the piss?" You know, what? £500,000 where did it go? And he then started to say that in spite of him drawing the salary as David Icke's webmaster, he also took something like $6,000 a month out of there. So, you know, but he's also retained the right to the name of the People's Voice, and he's over in America living with his new, I'm not sure whether it's husband or wife, but he's got married to someone who was born male. I'm not sure what they identify as now. I really don't give a shit. You know, he's married a bloke. So what?
Right, okay.
Yeah, get on with it.
Yeah.
But don't,
have you got meat and two veg and a bloke?
Yeah, don't go rubbing it in people's face. Well, so yeah, don't go rubbing it in people's faces. But
Adi probably won't mind.
Well, I mean, Adi, yeah, he's broad-minded, isn't he? Yeah. Yeah, I hope you're listening, Aid. I hope you're doing well. Oh, here's my phone going. Sorry, whoever that is. I will have to call you back. Yeah, sorry. Didn't realise my phone was switched on there. I'm not used to being on air.
Ah, nice one. Nice one. Yeah, so, we like we were saying, but what do you think? In America, it's pretty easy. I mean, if this Podesta stuff and this Clinton stuff it checks out, and it's real, and even if it's not, and it's just been planted in there, it's what we do. It's what do you think they're distracting us from in this country? Because I can't see it being, you know, the sex scandal in America, because we've got enough for our own sex scandal. What do you think is about to happen here, or is could have come out?
I don't know. For me, this whole Brexit thing, it's really it's gone from being a embarrassing pimple to a bloody great festering boil with a green head in it with little yellow bits in that's really angry and ready to burst. I mean, I think we're all going to get covered in that yellow and green smelly shit pretty soon from that.
But you know what? I think that even if they fucking managed to get a second referendum, would still get the same result. In fact, I think would probably get a more emphatic result.
Yeah, well, what kind of bothers me, I was asked what I thought when we were leading up to it, and I said it's like any election. It doesn't matter which way you vote, they've always got the outcome covered. Now, yeah, maybe they were or weren't expecting the Brexit vote, but yeah, all right, stay in. I think being in Europe, the common market maybe was a good idea, but it wasn't the common market we were going into. It was fully into Europe, but Heath lied to the country. He was being blackmailed. We know that. Blackmailed over his paedophilia. Oh, there's a familiar story. But if there is a Brexit, what you find out when there was this, I think it was the Supreme Court review over whether it could happen or not. When you read that, the United Kingdom as a country ceased to exist sometime between 1972 and when this Brexit vote occurred. So, if you exit, then there's a new country. You might call it United Kingdom or United Kingdom PLC or LLC, whatever, or United Kingdom in trust of the British Crown or something. Yeah, but it would be a new constitution. So that a new country. So does that would mean that it would require a constitution. Now, the United Kingdom had a constitution, but this new entity wouldn't have that, wouldn't have any law. So it would adopt whatever the government decides it's going to adopt, and you know damn well what that's going to be. You might as well have stayed in Europe.
Yeah, that's an interesting point. That I'd not read that report, that judgment, but I didn't think of it from that angle as well, because like you say, if we leave Europe, suddenly we become fuck all man's land,
Yeah.
and then we have to give sense a name, don't we? And then, like you say, a constitution. But I suppose there would be. Would there have to be a referendum on a constitution? I mean, what would happen to the royal family in that situation, because they wouldn't have a kingdom to rule?
Yes, there you go. I mean, I'll be honest, I didn't read that particular document, but I did listen to a guy who was talking about he'd read it and he'd gotten this much out of it, and the way he reckons it's working is they're angling for the new entity to be entirely owned by the City of London, the Crown Corporation.
Right.
So
it would be like a business deal rather than a country.
yeah, well, I think we are anyway. We've been.
Well, we're commodities, aren't we? We're a commodity. So that's basically what they're doing. They'll be selling us to the private. And then imagine trying to get rid of the Queen and the royal family when they're a private company. I mean, it's
Yeah.
It's just going to be ridiculous, isn't it? If they're not already a private company, I wonder if there is a royal family PLC or a royal family, limited or what. It's an interesting scenario, whether, because they might have, if that's something that's down the line, it might be something they've anticipated and set up a company to look after their interests. I don't know.
No. I mean, there are so many shadowy figures behind the scene. It is bloody difficult to. Tony's mentioned the Rothschilds there. Obviously, they're going to be angling for it because they just want to own and control the entire world. And to be honest, they're not bloody far short of it at the minute, are they? I've just noticed Samalama Ding Dong has just signed into the chat room. That's our Sam. Hi, Sam. It's great to able to listen to the live show tonight. That's brilliant, because I think Sam gets in quite late from work and he's not able to listen. So nice one to have you along, mate. And where they're heading with all this chicanery and manoeuvring on Brexit, I'm not sure. It almost looks like they're trying to hold fire on what they do because they can see that the US is right on the tipping point now. I mean, I don't know what you think, but I think I heard Robert David Steele was saying in an interview he did with Kerry Cassidy and with Sarah Westall recently. He said Trump's got 90 days from the release of the JFK files to really sort this out and to get control back over the deep state. He says if he doesn't do it in 90 days, they'll manoeuvre it so he loses the next election, Mike Pence will get in automatically because he'll be impeached, and wallop, there you go. Deep state, they've got their own president in again.
Yeah. So, from your point of view, then, do you think that perhaps we misjudged Trump a little bit? Do you think? But I've noticed a couple of things. That he's on a tour of Japan at the moment, and he's a trip to Japan.
Yeah.
And he's met with the prime minister, I think, the Japanese prime minister, and it showed you a picture of him shaking hands with the prime minister and a picture of Obama, and Obama is bowed almost like at a 90-degree angle.
Yeah.
But Trump in, and then there's this where it was supposed to. They give him some the koi thing. Did you see about that?
No.
They give him some food for koi.
Oh yeah.
And what he was supposed to chuck it in gently chuck it in, like, when feed koi, and he just tipped both into water.
Oh no!
It's just completely. It's just his own man. I don't know. I'd like to think that he's going to drain that swamp. But he's up against it though, isn't he?
The first sort of few actions that I saw, I thought, whoa, no, he's a controlled man. He's just continuing the same agenda. But I mean, a lot of people have said, "Oh, the release of the JFK files, it's so many years ago. What the hell does it matter?" But for Christ's sake, the deep state, the secret government, the shadow government, whatever you want to call them, they killed JFK.
Mm.
Now he's put the evidence out there. I mean, it's like Paul Webster said the other night. There's one paragraph you've got to read, and it tells you the Warren Commission was bullshit. The whole government the whole Lee Harvey Oswald thing, complete bollocks. Can't have been him because the first bullet entered under his Adam's apple.
Yeah. Official
story straight out the window. And unless obviously it ricocheted off the top of the windscreen before it, they'll come out with some bullshit like that. But there's quite a few other things seem to be surfacing from those documents. So I think, now is crunch time. It's either Trump brings America back from the brink of a complete fascist state, or it's going to be like you saw in Catalonia, it's going to be troops on the street masquerading as police. It's going to be complete chaos. But the trouble is, there's more guns than Americans in private hands in America. So
yeah, that's true. Yeah,
it's going to get messy. It's going to be.
Yeah, it's going to get well. What do you make of? Because right at the very beginning, Trump did a few things that made people like us think, oh yeah, it's just fucking same old shit. That bombing of Syria that he did, that he ordered. Remember that one early on in his presidency, and of course there was the pandering up to Israel as well. He was very pro-Israel, which really pisses people like me and you. Well, me anyway. It really pisses me off.
Oh yeah.
Do you think that were perhaps just him playing the game, playing his hand, manoeuvring? Just because there's a couple of times I play poker sometimes, and if I go to a game, and I'm playing a game, and the first hand that I get is pocket aces, a pair of aces, I'll throw it away.
Yeah.
I'll throw it away because that's playing the game. I'll throw it away, even though that's the top hand, that's the one you want. It's the first hand, and I'm suspicious or not like that. So, wow. Do you think he were like playing the game, just playing the I like Israel and all this sort of stuff, or do you think that? I don't know. He's it's either we're doing that right, or he's not going to drain the swamp, because everybody who he's fucking going to put into prison, if he's going to drain this swamp, everyone who's going into prison is either Jewish, most of them, are either Jewish or dual citizens, American Israelis.
Yeah, it's. I think he's got a big chance of doing it. But I honestly, when you said, do you think he was just playing the game with the pro-Israel stance that he took? I think if he hadn't have played that pro-Israel stance at the beginning, he would have had a heart attack. Because, one of the stories that I've seen most prevalent on social media this week, apart from the JFK story, is it's now public knowledge that the CIA have had a heart attack gun since the 50s.
Oh, yeah, they fired it at me twice. It didn't fucking work, though. I had my heart attack bulletproof vest on.
Yeah, what is it? It shoots a bullet made out of ice, and all it leaves is like a little tiny red dot of blood on your skin, but it fires some shellfish toxin or something into your system, gives you instant heart attack.
Yeah, I've seen it. I've seen it. It's fucking scary shit, that, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, but now they don't even need to do that. They, if you remember when we talked to Barry Trower, he was saying he's quite well aware himself of the frequency that would cause a heart attack if they played it through these pulse microwaves. So they can give you a heart attack through your fucking Wi-Fi, mate.
Yeah. And we're arming them.
Yeah.
To the teeth in our very own homes. We're building our own prison. I mean, we're even building our own. This is how far it's got. We're even building our own prison online.
Yeah.
People. How many people now go to websites? Most of the time, it's Facebook, isn't it? Facebook, Twitter, social media, right? So not only we've been herded into these places that at first were all magical and everything, but and you could connect with your friends and things, and people you could have a platform for your opinion to be, and people would see it, but then once they got us all in there, they started building these walls. You can't do that. We don't want him to see that. He don't know fuck all about that. We'll show that to one person who's got a similar interest to you, and he's probably fucking seen it already.
Yeah,
that's what social media. So we've not only been herded into a prison in our own homes, we've also been online. Our online personas have been herded into prisons. Yeah,
it's. I mean, there's 5G as well. When that comes in, Jesus, that is. I mean, I've listened to a couple of the interviews that Max Egan's done about that, and it's pretty scary shit.
I'm not convinced by that.
No,
I'm not. I'm not convinced by that.
How do you mean?
Well, the people that are going to, that we think are going to expose us to this 5G weapon, whatever, they're also going to be subject to it as well, aren't they? If it's everywhere, they're going to be subject to it as well, and their families are. So I think they're so narcissistic. I think that this is probably a bit of a distraction, this 5G. And listen, I know that they can do this. They have these microwave weapons. We've just been talking about that heart attack gun and all this. But if they're doing what is suggested they're doing with this 5G, then they're subjecting themselves to it as well.
Yeah, I see that, and that does kind of defy explanation a bit. So yeah, I'll give you that. It could be a distraction, but no, I mean the stuff that's coming out at the minute, there seems to be a real flood of information that those who've cared to look have been aware of for many years. But it's getting out to the more mainstream people. It's not totally mainstream. It's not all out, but some of it is getting over the news. Like, Tom DeLonge with his To the Stars project. Then we've got a millionaire who's got a load of top black project scientists, and they're going to back engineer UFO technology and put it out to the people, but we got to pay for it. You know, I mean, that to me is, I've heard it said it's a limited hangout by the deep state, but you know, they've stolen trillions off us to pay for everything they're doing, and now they're just taking the piss by getting us to pay for a few dribbles, the little bits they want to tell us. Yeah, there's aliens out there, but we're not going to tell you how else. You know, and to me, that is a big psyop. I see a lot of people are really going whole hog for that, but I'm glad to see there's a lot of people also questioning the validity of it.
Yeah. It's it's a weird world that we live in. Everything's upside down in it, and here. We should be multimillionaires on a beach, us people of our good looks and intellect.
Oh yeah. I mean, even that's something weird. I mean, I've started looking at something different in cryptocurrencies, and there's this company at a meeting down at Heathrow the weekend before last, and they proudly announced to the 1,000 people in the room and anybody who cares to listen on the internet that they're starting mining cryptocurrency using what essentially amounts to free energy devices. So they're going to have a massive edge over the competition. But I've seen that there's other crypto companies looking into the same sort of technology. Is that what it takes to get it out there? And if it is, fucking brilliant, bring it on.
Yeah, David and Martina, yeah, they're good people. We're going to have a chat. I'm going to have a chat with them again.
Yeah.
Very soon, because I'm going to have a granddaughter to support very soon.
You'll love it, mate.
Listen, we've gone past. We're on 7 minutes past. Are you wanting to get off, or do you want to carry on?
No, I'm cool if you want to carry on shooting the breeze.
Well, if anybody wants us to carry on, just type something in chat room and we'll carry on. Let's listen tomorrow night, 7 till 9. Raconteurs News is back. I've got Darren Nesbitt on tomorrow night. Darren Nesbitt. We're going to be talking about fake space and flat Earth as well. So Darren Nesbitt's on 7 till 9 tomorrow night. Do not miss it. It's going to be superb. Anyway, we've had a woohoo carry on, so let's carry on.
I've got a request.
Go on
then. Can you get him to sing "Stick the New World All Your Arse"? Because I thought that was brilliant.
I certainly will.
Yeah,
I certainly
excellent.
will. I'll get him to sing that. I'll get him to do an a cappella version. In fact, we might get Heath on organ to accompany him.
Well, you might have his guitar with him.
Oh yeah, but Heath on his organ. That's going to be a lot better.
Oh yeah, Heath, thanks for those tunes, mate. They are absolutely brilliant. Everybody who hears them's like, wow, who's that? So I hope you get the recognition that you deserve at some point, mate. I really do.
He gets the recognition he deserves. He gets the recognition he deserves. Everybody. He won a contest, didn't he? So he's got to be, you know.
Yeah, but let's hope he gets to make a living out of it. You know, that'd be cool.
Yeah, that would be cool. Yeah. Listen, he's my best mate. I've always known he's like the great talented bloke that he is. Ever since me and him, I'll tell you a little story. Me and him, where I think we were about, we must have been about 14 or 15.
Is this one about the two bricks? Because I've noticed he's got a very high voice when he's singing.
No, this were when we were about 15, and we were round at. I'd got this girlfriend. I mean, I weren't very good at being a Romeo when I was around. About then I was a bit shy and all that sort of crap. But we were around at my girlfriend's house, and Eve and her mate were there. mate with here, and we were upstairs, and what they had, right, is that in the garage they've got like one of them Space Invader machines that you sit down, or you know what's like a tabletop.
Yeah, they used to have them in pubs, didn't they?
Yeah, and so we were upstairs, and then we were stood at top of stairs, me and these two girls, and they went, oh, listen to him, because we had a record, they were a record on or something, and they went, oh my God, listen to Heath, listen how good he is, and because he was singing along while they were playing that thing, he didn't know we were listening, and that's the first time I noticed that.
Oh, brilliant.
But, yeah, that story, Heath, that one.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Oh, brilliant. I've just seen Sam's posted a comment there that I think's well worthy of commenting on. He says the attack on humanity is full spectrum, it could be an alien agenda who may be allowed to use deception as a weapon because they're not allowed to attack the old-fashioned way. Yeah, carry on, please. Thanks, Sam. What do you reckon?
Fucking hell. It's a bit... That's a question, isn't it?
Well, I am starting to be more and more convinced that the people, the entities at the top of this food chain are not totally human, at least, but I don't think they're even any part human. Because what they're doing to the human race, I mean, there's psychopaths and psychopaths, but to fucking wipe out the vast majority of the human race, that I don't see how any human could do that.
Well, what I think, you know what I think, don't you?
Well,
there's a universal law of consent, and it's universal.
Yeah,
you can't do anything without someone's consent. How you get that consent, it don't matter. As long as you get it, you can't do anything without consent, right? That's for me, that's a universal law.
Yeah.
Okay. I believe that there are aliens that come to this planet, right, and deal with the governments of these planets. But what you've got to remember, right? So they can't reveal themselves to us without the consent. And the consent is not given by the governments because they are the elected governments of the people. So they collectively, it's the people's consent that they don't tell them. They don't know that they're not telling them, but they don't tell them because that's the consent bit, right? Now, what we're dealing here with is the problem. What we've got here is we're dealing the people primarily who are running this world are Khazars.
Yeah.
The Khazars.
Yeah,
they want to enslave everybody else.
Right.
And so that's the only reason we don't get disclosure, because we're not consenting to it, because we're allowing these people to represent us, but we don't know we're allowing them to represent us.
Yeah, I get you. Yes, you have explained that to me, and yeah, I can see that. So what needs to happen for that to change, do you think?
We have to take us away as consent. These governments have all got to go down. These governments have all got to go down, and they've got to be replaced. They've got to be replaced by. We should just scrap democracy and start again.
Yeah.
Right. So what do you do? Right. You scrap democracy, start again. So what do? You get called to government, like you would jury service.
I think that's brilliant. Like national service.
Like jury service, right? You're going into government, right? Or you people, you need to form a government between you, right? How you do it, whatever. You know what? You know when we've got fucking people making stupid decisions, right? That's when we go. That's when you get the other person who goes in afterwards and goes, right, we've had these stupid decisions because people are not educated enough. So we're going to fucking put money into education, proper education, critical thinking, problem solving, not just this fucking bollocks.
Yeah.
And so after a few generations, we'd stop fucking up because this education system would be a lot better. We'd have learned from the mistakes that the people that had, because let's face it, you get a Chancellor of the Exchequer that ain't even got fucking O-level maths, don't you?
Yeah.
And they're making financial decisions. So we might as well just fucking do it, willy-nilly. Bob down road, he gets called up, he's fucking, oh, what have I got? I've been called for government duty. What have I got? What you got? Opens this fucking thing up. Department of Transport. Bollocks. I fucking hate trains. You know what I mean? Fucking, that sort of thing, it's so easy. And it sorts itself out as well, because a few generations down road, people will be educated so that whatever comes through the door, they'll be able to deal with. Whatever comes through the door when they call for government duty, they'll be able to deal with it. It's so fucking simple.
Well, we don't do sycophancy on this show, but I think we should put you in charge, mate. Then again, your life's a bit chaotic. I think maybe we should give that pleasure to somebody else.
No, but it's so fucking. That's for me. Like I said before, consent, universal consent is I think it's a universal law. It don't matter about, all right, you fucking. Someone might go for real extreme and say fucking. Rape, somebody doesn't has to consent to rape. No, the bloke has to consent to do something to somebody else. He has to consent to himself.
Yeah, well, Sam's made a good point on that. He's saying that, it's inhuman, so it's possibly not human, but also he says consent can be regarded as implied if we don't mention it. So really, just like, as long as you just go along with this shit.
Tacit consent. Like he says, tacit consent. That's as long as you're going along with it, you're not putting up a protest. You're consenting.
I mean, protest. Did you see any of the Million Mask March footage?
No, I didn't know. No. I think it would have been a damp squid, weren't it? Squib, a damp squib. Sorry.
Yeah, there was a good few there, but the bits I saw, they were shouting, "Whose streets? Our streets," and "fuck the police" and all that. And I thought, there's only one way to do that. You need to just march quietly. Yeah,
of course you do. Yeah, dignity. That's what you want. You want dignity. But you see, the problem is these protests, they're so open to be taken over. Yeah. Our radio show, right? I don't know how many people we reach. We don't reach that many people, but we reach enough people. But it can't be taken over, and it can't be. It's dissent, but it can't be infiltrated. It could be to a certain extent with people getting disinformation out, but it can't get to a point where it's. No,
it's been steered. It's been taken over. Donors or something like that. I mean, we have had some very generous donations off good friends of the show, and I'm really grateful for that. And they've helped out with the running costs of things, and it's all been wonderful. But we don't ask for donations. We don't really need them. We're not trying to take over the world, take over the airwaves. We're just trying to say it like we see it.
Yeah, just listen, adding my voice. If someone wants to listen, then great, adding our voices to it. But if someone don't want to listen, they don't have to listen. I've had quite a few in recent weeks that have contacted me, said I've just found your show, I've just found your YouTube channel, I'm going through your back catalogue, I'm really enjoying it, and all this sort of thing. So that even that one, I mean, we're not on a scale of. We're not on a scale of like Infowars or Richie Allen or all like that, but they've got David Icke and all that, all the money that they've got in Infowars.
Yeah, to be honest, I'm quite surprised. I haven't really had anybody give me that much stick on the social media about the show myself, but some of the ones that you've been having have really given me a bit of a chuckle, like the guy who was pulled you up for not challenging Mark Salon enough about the Mandela effect.
Yeah.
And I thought, you don't challenge people enough. And what do you refer him to, the John Irwin one?
yeah, that's it. Yeah, I said, listen to John Irwin. There you go.
That shuts him up, doesn't it?
It did. I have not heard from him since. I've not heard from him, no.
He probably thinks you're too confrontational now.
Yeah, well, I probably am. I probably scared him off a bit. He were a West Ham fan, so...
Oh, well, right. Whatever that means.
West Ham United Football Club.
Oh, yeah, I know they're a football club, but I don't know anything about the clubs anymore, I lost interest in football when I discovered girls and motorbikes.
Yeah, how did it go this weekend? What were the result? Were it last weekend?
Oh yeah, that was the last race of the season in World Superbikes. Yeah, the British guy there just won his third world title in a row. It's a record. Nobody's ever done it in World Superbikes. Johnny Ray from Northern Ireland. Met him when he was about 19 years old at Cadwell. Lovely kid. Like, he was almost embarrassed that people wanted his autograph.
Yeah.
He's matured. He'd been riding shit bikes for a load of years, but he's done his apprenticeship and now he's reaping the rewards. It was fantastic to see him on the podium. The emotion in the lad. He's always been quite calm. Obviously elated when he's won the championship, but this time he just... So the guy said to him at the end when he was doing the interview, perfection, and he went, that's it. And he his voice nearly broke, and he just went, this is as good as it gets. Nobody's life can ever get any better than this. I've just got to live the moment because it might not be there next year. And I've seen a couple of sportsmen reach that. I mean, I'm talking about real sportsmen, not these fucking overpaid prima donna footballers. But they've reached that pinnacle. And the guys at the top of motorbike racing make a lot of dough, but there's a lot of guys there who are barely making a living. Some of them aren't. They're paying out their own pocket to do it.
Yeah, of course they are, yeah.
And, it's something that I was involved in all those years ago, and it's kind of I turned me back on it when it kind of pissed me off, and I didn't have any involvement for 20 years, and I'm really enjoy being back into it now, but getting other interests with me, shamanism and pagans, and looking into all sorts of avenues now.
Yeah, it's really interesting, isn't it? There are some interesting subjects out there. Your shamanism, paganism, and your superbikes.
It's all kind of fits together, doesn't it?
Yeah, of course it does.
Valentino Rossi's
got bikes as well.
Valentino Rossi's got the sun and the moon on his helmet, so it all gels together, really.
Did you ever come across? We used to have a local. Where I lived when I was growing up, we used to have a local. I don't know what sort of bikes he rode, but he were called James Toseland.
Oh yeah. He was managed by a guy I used to knock about with when I was involved, Roger Burnett. He was a superbike rider. I don't think Roger ever got to be world champion, but he was kind of in the top half a dozen maybe for a few years. And he was managing James, and we managed to collar James, and Tina got a picture took with him when we was at Cadwell Park. Lovely lad, absolutely lovely.
Oh, brilliant!
And his band was playing at Silverstone when we went there, because he's had to retire from racing because he like really buggered his wrist up in a crash. He can't straighten his hand properly or something. So now he's singing in front of a rock band.
Right.
But he's also a really good piano player as well. But I don't know if that's fucked that up with messing his wrist up, like.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, he always used to be at local paper in around Dinnington. He were always in it when he were top of his game.
Yeah, he was World Superbike champion twice.
Well, Andy, I think we've done it, haven't we? Now we've shot us load.
Yeah, I think that's about it. Yeah, it's been nice to have a chat on air, and if you at a loose end anytime, more than happy to do it.
Brilliant. Yeah, well, it's been great having you on and hearing you again. It sort of sparked back to old days, and it's rather sad that I'm calling them the old days now, because it does seem quite a long time since I last had you alongside me. But hopefully we'll get you back on from time to time to get in on something, to comment on things, or perhaps. For half an hour, when I've had a rant for half an hour because I ain't got a guest, and we'll get you on for the last half hour like we did tonight. Yeah. All right, well, thank you very much for listening to Raconteurs Too tonight. Tomorrow night, Raconteurs News, me again, I'm back. It's 7 till 9. We've got Darren Nesbitt. We're talking about fake space, and we're talking about the flat Earth as well. Darren Nesbitt, it's something that I wanted to revisit. A few more things that I just wanted to clear up, so I've invited Darren on, and he's kindly agreed. So Darren Nesbitt will be tomorrow night 7 till 9 on Raconteurs News. Remember, don't watch the comedies. Don't watch comedy, it's crap. Get some old comedy on, put some Only Fools and Horses on, or get some fast show like me and my wife have got on recently. Or I'll give you a hit. If you want something fairly up to date, have a look at The American Office. I absolutely love it. And the second to last series, I think it's series 8, which was never shown on British television. And that's when the manager that was in it all the way through had left. And James Spader was the manager, and it's absolute genius that season. So season 8 of The Office, the US Office, or in fact, watch them all. We're watching them all on a loop continuously because there's never anything on the television. So if you want some real good comedy, the US Office. I know that it wasn't on over here and it wasn't really rated over here, but if you watch it, it's really, really good. It's really edgy, and it covers some interesting issues as well. So anyway, that's it for tonight. Thank you very much for joining us.
Before you go, I just want to say one thing: flowery twats.
Faulty Towers, yeah. There we go.
Yeah, for
flowery
me.
Twats, yeah, get some Faulty Towers on it. It's on gold all the time. Only Fools and Horses, that sort of thing. Well, family even.
Faulty Towers and Python for me is the pinnacle of comedy, but yeah.
Yeah, you're of a different generation to me.
Yeah. It's been a blast, folks. Thanks for listening. Oh, well, we're going out now then.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, right. I thought you were going to say something. Good night, folks.
Take it easy. Right, thanks. See you tomorrow. Bye.
Get the wiggies cause I'm off to the hole in the road. I'm walking off school and I'm off to the city, watching telly all night and I'm not looking pretty. See, I got this job downtown, selling knocked off ladies watches for £1. For a really dodgy man that I met in a dodgy cafe. You know, he said to me, the girl who sold these yesterday wasn't selling very carefully. Police came along and took her and all my watches away. So if you see some coppers, you grab my stuff and leg it, boy, right away. I'll be in the cafe. I'm just a boy from Sheffield, making his way through life. I'm just a boy few hours and I haven't sold enough for my bus fare home. Street selling's pretty tough, so I turn on the charm for the lunchtime rush. With a smile and a wiggle on my schoolboy touch. So the charm is working in the underground. There's a crowd of men and women gather round, and the watches they are going, the money is a flowing. Think I'll take a little extra, stick it in my pocket, spend you later. I'm just a boy from Sheffield, making his way through life. I'm just a boy from Sheffield, making his way. I'm just a boy from Sheffield, making his way through life. I'm just a boy from Sheffield, making his way. I haven't sold a watch for an hour and I'm dying for a slash. I've had enough of this, so I'm off for a piss. Then a quick walk back round to the cafe. Sitting at his table drinking tea. Looks at me suspiciously. Then with a glance at the watch he says, how did you do? He paid me a couple of quid. Then he said, would you like to come and work another day? I said I'd come back down on Friday. And to that he said okay. So with £2 in my pocket and another 5 in my shoe, I nipped down to Castle Market, where a man who looks like Leo Sayer is selling pots with cockles and prawns. You make me feel like dancing. Then off back to dinner on the Wiggers and then home. I'm just a boy from Sheffield, making his way. I'm just